For many years, Saudi Arabia, being an Islamic state, has failed to recognize the State of Israel, having no diplomatic relations with it due to their stance on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. However, Saudi's recent efforts to work towards a sustainable economic future, which does not solely depend on oil export, has stemmed a glimmer of hope that ties might be established between the two entities. According to recent reports, a deal is being negotiated that, if finalized, will result in Saudi Arabia having close relations with Israel for the first time. The major thing the Saudis would get in exchange, security guarantees, would come from the US, not Israel. Israel, a high-tech power, would play a key role in Saudi Arabia's ambitious efforts to diversify its economy beyond oil. It is also anticipated to make concessions to the West Bank's Palestinian Self-Ruling Authority. The US would reclaim some of its influence over Saudi Arabia, thwarting China's efforts to enhance its influence in the Middle East. The deal offers significant rewards to all four governments, not least of them additional ways of dealing with Iranian military activity in the region. But the prospect of the pact stirs populist forces among all their constituencies, posing risks to those in power. For the US, the agreement presents an opportunity to counter China's expanding presence in the Middle East, while bolstering Israel's integration with its neighbors in an anti-Iran alliance, with the US playing a pivotal role. If the US provides the security guarantees sought by Saudi Arabia, it could lead to a significant improvement in their relations. This could also give the US greater influence over Saudi oil production, affecting oil prices and gasoline costs. A finalized pact would be a major foreign policy win for President Joe Biden's 2024 re-election campaign. According to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, the agreement falls well short of achieving his objective of an independent Palestinian state. However, it would provide an opportunity to reduce or halt Israeli initiatives that make that ambition implausible. Palestinian negotiators will specifically ask Netanyahu's administration to halt Israeli settlement construction in the West Bank and to postpone plans to annex current settlements to Israel. A pact might also diminish Iran's growing influence in the West Bank and would almost certainly result in significant financial support from Saudi Arabia. Primarily, Saudi Arabia seeks security from Iran, especially after the 2019 attacks on its oil facilities, which it attributes to Iran. Despite the recent resumption of diplomatic ties facilitated by China in early 2023, Saudi Arabia and Iran remain regional rivals. Saudi concerns include Iran's extensive missile arsenal, proxy militias in neighboring Yemen, Iraq, and Lebanon, and its nuclear program, which raises suspicions of weaponization. Saudi Arabia aims for a robust defense agreement with the US, like a mutual defense pact like the US-Japan Treaty, where an attack on Saudi Arabia would be viewed as an attack on the US. Israel also has defense capabilities that could prove useful for defending Saudi oil fields. MBS has made economic and social growth its objective for the country, as stated in his Vision 2030 plan. He wants to focus on innovation to transform the country's economy away from its reliance on crude oil. MBS has recently become a more flexible figure, emphasizing conciliation over conflict. Since then, the Saudis have repaired ties with Qatar and normalized relations with Iran, in addition to ongoing peace discussions with the Houthis. Nobody can predict with certainty that this shift will last, and there is a possibility that a US security assurance may force MBS to revert to his old methods. Netanyahu has stated repeatedly that, after establishing relationships with the UAE, Bahrain, and Morocco through the US-mediated Abraham Accords in 2020, the real prize for Israel is a close relationship with Saudi Arabia. It is the most prosperous and strong Arab state. The recognition of Israel by Saudi Arabia would contradict many Middle Easterners' belief that the presence of a Jewish state in a predominantly Muslim region is illegal. It would also most likely open doors in other major Muslim countries like Malaysia and Indonesia. Israel is also discussing with the US a mutual defense pact in parallel to that for Saudi Arabia. Israel is seeking a pact that would allow it freedom of independent action. On the other hand, Netanyahu is facing deep internal divisions over his far-right governing coalition's policies and indictments against him for fraud and bribery. A deal with Saudi Arabia would shift the focus to a source of national pride and unity.